Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of We're Going Chasing. We're back to our Friday slot, our preview show, Killian. We've racing at Sandown today. Tomorrow we've got Navan, Aintree, Sandown, Chepstow's on as well. And then, of course, we've got our Grade 2 Hilly Way meeting at Cork on Sunday. But, Killian, we'll get straight into it and we'll look at Sandown on Friday. We've got two Grade 2s. We'll start off with the Beacon's Winter Novice Hurdle over 2 mile 4. Was there anything here that tickled your fancy?
I think South of the Border was very impressive on hurdle debut. He looks a good horse, but the one I was drawn to was the Ben Pauling horse, Personal Ambition. He beat Ginkgo Blue on debut by 3.5 lengths up in Warwick, and Ginkgo Blue has since come out and beat Massico, who's a horse I really like in Newbury the last day. Now he was getting weight off Massico that day, but I still think it was a decent performance the way he battled back. But Personal Ambition, I thought like he was a lot more value for the win than what the winning distance was, because he smashed the last. So I'd say he could be a decent price there at 11-2. He's only a 4-year-old, so yeah, he's plenty of scope for improvement, I think.
Yeah, one that I like to look if there was actually Insurrection. I had a nice look through the form and that, and I thought that was the pick of the whole lot of it, to be honest. He hammered a field at Exeter, which I suppose in the context of this race looks half decent. And you know, in a poorish race, you know, I just feel that he's got the form in the book there. He's won by 8 lengths against Diamond Ree. Diamond Ree won a bumper there before that race, and that it's just a semi-decent form. I think out of what we know in the form book, that's the best. So at 9-4, I'd be happy to take him. Then we've got the Grade 2 Esher Novices Chase over 3 miles as well. I'll leave you take that away, Killian.
Yeah, stay away Faye for me. I think there was a lot to like about the way he battled back from the last at Exeter. To imagine Sandown would suit even better, that sort of stiffer finish. Ground should be fine for him. Soft, it was even softer again. It probably suited me even better, but yeah, I think I'd take him over Giovinco, to be honest. And obviously Grey Dawnings came out and franked the form for a stay away Faye. Giovinco, he sort of won a non-event in Aintree. Like they skipped a good few of the fences. I know he won very easily in a handicap off 143, but no, it wouldn't be for me now. I think I'd go stay away Faye.
Okay, yeah. I'd probably take you on there, Killian, and it's not an awful strong fancy. I have much stronger fancies over the weekend. But I do like the look of Giovinco. He's unbeaten over obstacles when staying on his feet. It's hard to know where his ceiling is because he was running in a lot of poor races last year. It definitely wasn't running the quality of race to stay away phase.
No.
So whether he's up to that level or not remains to be seen. Stay away Faye, you mentioned, got that boost of form with Grey Dawning winning at Haydock, but like I'd say that's a different horse, a different Grey Dawning that turned up at Haydock versus the one that turned up against Stay Away Faye a couple of weeks prior to that, with the way Skeltons were running. I'd see what way the market pans out, but I think 7-4 is what Racing Post is showing on Giovinco at the moment, and to be honest, I'd probably side with that. We'll move on to Navan on Saturday then, Killian.
Yep.
We've got the Grade 2 Tote Novice Hurdle over 2 mile 4. The trip is going to take some getting, and Navan is always really a test of stamina, and it's soft to heavy there, I believe, at the moment. You know, so what are you thinking on it?
Yeah, it's hard to know. I'd say, like, I think I was really taken by Stellar Story when he won in Navan the day of the 4-3 on the Saturday, the NRF. Yeah, I'd probably side with him, to be honest. I think there was an awful lot to like about him. Slade Steele was impressive in Naas, and King of Kingsfield has come out and franked the form for that a bit, albeit he was ridden in a completely different way. So maybe he didn't really frank it. It was a different type of horse, a different type of performance. But yeah, I think Stellar Story will take a fair bit of whacking. Yeah, Stellar Story if you were to put a gun to my head and say pick a horse for the Bartlett now, I'd say him. And I don't think
Okay.
that this trip should be a problem on this type of ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be in agreement with you there. To be honest, Slade Steel won a point to point and a bumper, so you'd imagine should have the stamina for a race like this. But I just think the way Navan is and the way that he won his maiden hurdle, he doesn't look like a horse that is certainly crying up for a step-in trip. So I just wonder, would Stellar Story's stamina come into it there a bit more? He Wetson is there, and he started his hurling career over 2 miles 7. Which is unusual enough for Willie. He wouldn't be doing that with
Yeah,
any of
he's
his other
very, very
horses.
slow.
Exactly. So I'd imagine he's extremely slow, a boat. So I'd nearly be looking at better days ahead and Stellar Story. They're sort of the middle ground in terms of stamina and that. And I go Stellar Story, to be honest. He's got that course and distance form in there as well. Same page there. We've got the Becht of Stud tier rooms listed handicap hurdle then. A very nice race, €100,000 race. Beacon Edge is there, top of the weights, and he's one that I quite like with Carl Miller taking off £7. There's actually a French rider then, Baptiste Leclerc, is overriding Jazzy Matty for some strange reason. I'm not sure why.
Did he like that they buy a lot of horses from France, Caldwell maybe? I don't know. Was he involved in the horses in France?
I can have a look here now. I click into the farm. No, he wasn't. He never rode him anyway. And it's his only ride on the card too, so a bit strange, but I wouldn't fancy him in any case anyway, to be honest. And Will Do is another for Gordon who should like conditions. But I'll probably hold on until the day. It's going to be a fierce open competitive handicap. The 3 previous runs of the race have been won by a 22 to 1 shot, a 33 to 1 shot, and a 40 to 1 shot. So I'll wait until prices are released and that, and then I'll really get my teeth stuck into it.
Yeah, my eye was drawn to Will Do almost immediately when I saw the declarations. Like he's won 2 complete non-events over hurdles, like up in Sligo in a maiden, and in the last day in Thurles in a novice hurdle, giving away £7 to a decent horse in second. Getaway Charlie was rated about 120. Yeah, his form of his hurdle debut isn't too bad either. Like he was beaten 2.5 lengths or so by Monbeg Park in Punchestown in November last year. Maybe going into a handicap of 128, he's obviously Jack Kennedy's pick, which is a big plus. So he'd be one I'd be looking at straight away. And then right at the bottom, Angel's Dawn off 118 over hurdles. Like obviously the plan is probably a national or an Irish national with her down the line, and maybe they're just getting a couple of runs into her. But geez, if she can't win a race like this off a mark like that on this type of ground, assume she's trying.
Yeah,
You'd be a bit disappointed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that is a fair shout. She obviously had her season reappearance there a couple of weeks ago in another handicap.
She was second, but she was hammered. Like, she bet about 30 lengths.
Yeah, by a yoke that was obviously extremely well handicapped. But Angel's Dawn travelled throughout that race as if she was going to win it. She travelled extremely well. So you'd wonder if she'd strip a bit fitter for the run and that. Possibly. Now, I was looking back at her previous hurdle form. Not really that taken, to be honest.
No, she's a 2 stone better chaser, like, but
yeah,
just you'd assume she can transfer even a bit of that. She'd take a bit of whacking off that mark.
Possibly, yeah. We'll see when the markers come out and what they make of it. I'm going to move on to the Foxrock handicap chase, Killian, over 2 mile 4. We've Annie second now, who goes well around Navan, turning up here at the top of the weights, but he's 11 years of age, and you'd imagine he'll need this run, and they'll be taking their time with him. Eclat Terrier is another horse who I used to really like, but his form has fallen a bit by the wayside, and he hasn't been seen that much either, presumably due to injuries and that. So he's another one that's easy enough to pass over on. One that actually is quite interesting is possibly the Little Yank. He's been running, he's been running, well, he's been running everywhere because he's had 66 career starts, and he's only 8 years of age. But he's been running over trips sort of too far from the last few times, twice over 3 miles, uh, then over 3 mile 4, 3 mile 5. I think this trip will see him to a better effect. He's been dropped a small bit in the weight. You would like to see him be dropping a bit more, but it's not. It's a winnable race, and I think over 2 mile 5 he could give it a good rattle. And Genis is another interesting one for Enda Bulger in first time cheek pieces. Again, doesn't have great form in that, but just when you see the cheek pieces going on for those colours, you always have to take a second look.
Yeah, I like Chartreuse for Henry de
Really?
Bromhead. Yeah, he's a real mudlark now, this guy. Won
Yeah.
a maiden in Cork on bottomless, won the Sure Hall in Clonmel on bottomless, ran the Bartlett and didn't come anywhere, but he had a couple of decent starts the first twice over fences. He was beaten 13 lengths by Jerry Colome in a beginner's chase, and then got beaten again in Punchestown on New Year's Eve last year in a beginner's by a Tom Gibney horse, Must Be Obeyed, who's rated, is he in the 132? So they're basically off the same mark over fence, but he gave him £7 that day. He was in front of Mallow Mission actually. Reopposed with Mallow Mission in Navan and got hammered. First run the handicap last March. He was beaten 28 lengths on this type of ground in Navan. I think Rachel said after the race the horse didn't really travelled well, but didn't really pick up for her. So stepping back to 2.5 miles on this ground should suit. Got dropped a pound for it and freshened up as well. So maybe that'll
yeah.
add to it. But she's gone with Eclat de Rire over Chartreuse, which isn't promising. But
Yeah.
Dara O'Keefe, obviously one of the top jockeys in Ireland, so he'd be well able for it too.
Yeah, I actually like Chartreuse for that race, that handicap Navan here last year, but I was passing them over there. But look, we'll see what Saturday brings. We've also got a nice beginners chase in the cards. San Felician, Indiana Dream, Hidden Valley Lake makes his debut over fences. Santonito is there as well. It's a nice little race, Killian. I don't have any really strong opinions on the moment. San Felician was impressive enough the last day.
Yeah, he was good, and going up in trip, you'd imagine that would bring out a bit more improvement in him. Shambelly Kid is another good one. Like there,
Course, yeah.
it's a really good beginner's chase. You'd imagine Hidden Valley
Yeah.
Lake went a bit further, but yeah, I think I'd have it between Saint Felician and Shambelly Kid maybe.
Okay, we'll move on to Sandown, Killian. We've got a very nice card here now. The two main events should be straightforward enough. We've got Constitution Hill in the fighting fifth. Those taking him on include Love and Va, You Wear It Well, and Shishkin, interestingly enough. And then the Tingle Creek should also be relatively straightforward for Jonbon, with Edwardstone probably the main danger to him there. And I think that says enough in its own right, does it?
Yeah, it does. I think I saw someone, Ross Miller on Twitter, was saying like, Alan King, why you're running Edwardstone in a race? He simply can't win the Tingle Creek. Like, just run him in the King George. I said that here on the anti-post video on Wednesday as well. That, like, if I think he'd have an outside chance in the King George. He might stay, like, but I think he's no chance of beating Jonbon here. So
Yeah, but at the same time, Killian, should when it's only one horse, should you run away from one horse? That's the sort of cliche saying, and one that I very much agree with. If anything was to go wrong with Jonbon, then you've probably got a grade 1 in the bag.
yeah, potentially, but geez, I wouldn't fancy, like, I think Boot Hill's an improving horse over 2 miles.
He
Boot
is.
Hill could easily serve it up to Edwardstone. Like, Edwardstone was lackluster enough the last day, and he's put a couple of bad runs together now, and I just think he just needs further than the 2 miles, and maybe, like, I think Boot Hill could do him for speed in this.
Possibly. We'll move on then. We've got the Betfair Henry VIII Novices Chase, grade 1. Previous winners of this actually include Edwardstone and Jonbon. They're the last two winners of this. It's very unlikely that we have a horse of Jonbon's quality and probably not of Edwardstone quality either when he was at his best in this lineup. JPR1 is top of the betting at 15-8. Conal Harry 4-1. ICO or ICO, I always struggle with that, 4-1. Unexpected Party 4-1. I have one I quite like in this, Killian. I'm interested to hear what you think.
I won't even watch it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think Isio is probably a better horse than JPR1. Now, based off JPR1's race the last day, where he was going to win the canter really at Cheltenham, when he sort of stumbled at the last and came down. But prior to that, JPR1 beat Isio by 13 lengths, but was getting over a stone. You know, he was a better horse than him over hurdles this year was, and he's just won this. It's not a great race, you know. As you said, you won't look at it yourself, but I think at the prices, Isio 4-1, he'd probably be one of my best of the weekend, to be honest, just because of how poor the race is and the price.
It's pure
big.
shit, isn't it? Like, why isn't there an Irish horse going over for this?
Yeah,
Like, I know it's a bit tight to Christmas, but Jeff, if you were Facile Vega,
yeah, it wouldn't take much out here, like.
it'd be like a piece of work nearly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Even like some of the like Saint Felician, probably on the basis of how like he and maybe the jump on the left maybe mightn't help going that way around, but you'd imagine he'd have
even if they had got Illit to Tom's out a small bit earlier. Perfect.
Like there's plenty of them that like ordinary Irish horse that win this, handicappers that win this grade one, like, you know, it's a pity, like.
It is indeed. It's
45 British pounds to win it. Okay, 45 560.
Lovely money, isn't it?
That's scandalous. And I have a worse one for you when we get on to Aintree.
Okay, right. Aside from the grade ones, then at Sandown, Killeen, I don't know if you like anything else there. We've got Wilmount, is a bit of an eye catcher of a declaration there in the 11:35. Listed novice hurdle 2-1 on. We've got a Pertemps qualifier at 12:40, and a race named after Rachel Blackmore at 2:25.
Yeah, Wilmount, very exciting. He's one that, like, you'd be hoping for the English's sake he'd improved into being a supreme horse potentially. The race named after Rachel Blackmore, Impose Trois, is unopposable, I think, judging on the form of his run the last day at Cheltenham in the handicap on the Friday. So he's actually not going to be going to that. We spoke about on Wednesday that, what was the handicap? The Betfair Exchange handicap in Ascot.
Oh, yes.
So it'll probably be the other JP horse. So Imposed will be here. So that's fine. I think he's unopposable. You know, you could do worse than probably have a few quid on Wilmount, Constitution Hill, Jonbon, that Imposed, and he's another decent ride at a shortish price as well. Maybe I think that might be the 4, but Nico and Nicky to knock in them 4. You get good value out of it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you could get a few runs for your money there anyway, for sure. The London National Handicap Chase is there as well at 3:35. It's a race that I'd look at, and I thought Fontaine Calanges was interesting. He's back on a mark of 133. The last time he won a race, it was off 132. The first run of last year, he won a big race at handicap, so he can go well fresh. He had a wind operation over the summer. I expected of him last year, and he didn't sort of kick on as was expected. But I think on his return here, he could come in with a very big run. He's about 3-1. He's second from bottom in the weights, and to be honest, if they were running off levels, I probably still fancy him, to be honest. I still give him a chance. And like, I can just see it around this time of year. Like, next thing people will be saying after the race, you know, Venetia Williams time of year, etc., etc. You know, there's no point saying it after the race.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Say it now, and I reckon 3-1 is a fair enough price in a race that isn't the deepest in the world. To be honest, Killian, we'll move on to Aintree then. You had a fairly scandalous one there for us in terms of prize money and quality of race.
Yeah, 11:45 beginner's chase, 4 runners, 2.5 miles. You got Golden Sun 140, Pembroke 135, Pozo Emery 124, and Hardy Bloke 122. The winner of this beginner's chase gets £20,812.
You're serious?
Yeah, isn't that a disgrace? Like
Savage
that's
prize money.
and like, why is there only 4 runners, and why isn't there a decent horse in it? Again, should have Irish horses over in this. Like 2.5 miles. There's beginners chase and Navan on the same day. What's it worth?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to. I'll come back to you on that, but I'm going to find the Navan one in a second. But there's plenty of horses there that should be in this race instead of going to Navan. Like, it's well winnable. Like, there's probably 4 of them: Shambally Kids, Hidden Valley Lake, Sant Felician, Sanatino. All these be well capable of winning this beginner's chase. Santanito
7,600 to the
for the
winner.
winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fuck it. Like, why you not go for this? But look, fair play to Paul Nichols. He's found an easy opportunity for Golden Sun, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And the Beecher, was there anything there that you liked? I know Percussion, he's not one that he'll be well found in the market. He's 6-1, but like, he's placed over them fences 3 times now. He's knocking on the door long enough for Luca Morgan. He just deserves to get his head in front, really. I think he's been 3rd twice and 2nd there last time in the Grand Sefton. 6-1 with 5 places available. I think it's a very fair bet there each way.
Yeah, I think I was sort of looking ahead, like Coco Beach will get a nice look at them anyway for the national in things. He's only out for a sighter. The big breakaway maybe I was sort of looking at, but again, like, what's his target? Is it the Welsh national? I don't know. Like, he was 2nd in the Welsh national last year. Like, you want to be winning races over these fences, like, they're iconic. He had a good pipe opener. He ran a decent race. Got dropped £2 for it in Wincanton on the 11th of November. So maybe that might see him right for this. Cobden on board as well. Huge plus. So maybe the big breakaway, 8-1.
Okay, I'd be hoping. I was thinking that he could be a Welsh national horse. I'd be hoping that he comes around there in 4th or 5th, and that might have him right then for Chepstow. And speaking of Chepstow, we've got the Welsh Grand National Trial over 2 miles 7 there this weekend. It's actually a race I spent a nice bit of time looking at, Killian, and I didn't see much I liked. 2 for Gold was probably one that I came back to towards the Kim Bailey and David Bass are in superb form at the moment. It's the horse's 2nd run back. He's a bit longer in the tooth now these days, and I just think that 3 mile on that soft ground is his game. And again, I'm not sure what price he is, but he probably looks the pick of the field to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any opinion on this race at all. No.
Okay. And then on Sunday in Cork, we don't have any declarations at the moment. We just have entries. So we'll fly through them. In the Grade 3, Croke Park looks the winner to me. Impressed at Navan. Again, a Grade 3 last time out. The step up and trip looks absolutely ideal for the horse. I think it'll suit him down to the ground, and he'd be the one that I'd like there. In the Grade 2 mares novice, I just felt it was interesting that Harmonia Maker is going back hurdling. If she's declared, that is. She was very impressive over fences last time out at Gorn, I think it was. Really good performance, won by 10 or 11 lengths. So to see her going back hurdling was interesting. And then, of course, you've got the Grade 2 Hillyway Chase. Jungle Boogie, an interesting runner again if he turns up. Gone from Willie's to Henry's. No prices up yet in the betting, but for betting purposes, El Fabiolo will be no price and will win the race in all likelihood, barring a fall, and will make it 9 wins in the last 10 runnings of that race for Willie Mullins, Killian.
Who won the other one?
Henry, I'm going to say. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm right though. I don't think I'm right. He won one before that.
Size in Europe probably won it.
No, I have it up here. It was Peter Fahey with
Castle Grace Paddy.
Correct.
Not Peter Fahey.
That was in
Pat
28. And that was in 2018.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
And Paul Townend was on board actually. I click into it there and I'll see Willie obviously had nothing in the race. Special Tiara around that day.
Had he great field.
Annabelle Fly, great field fell.
Yeah.
Shock.
Yeah, he loved the deck, didn't he?
Yeah. And actually, then back in 2012, Henry Bram had won it with Days Hotel.
Days Hotel.
Blazing Tempo was third that day for Willie Mullins, Ruby Welsh in the Rich Richie colours. But Killian, that probably wraps up this preview show. Very short and snappy. We've been busy this week with our podcast on Monday, and then we had our Cheltenham, our Christmas anti-post preview that was out on Wednesday. People seem to enjoy that one particularly. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and have a listen. It's the last podcast we had up on Spotify and on YouTube. Right, Killian, just before we wrap it up then, our best bets for the weekend. We're going to go with 2 this week. Give us your first one.
I go with Stay Away Faye in the 225 in Sandown on Friday.
Do we have a price?
I don't know who it's with.
About
Just
10
on
to
the
11,
racing post here at 10 to 11.
Yeah.
10 to 11 with all of them.
My first one is Stellar Story in the Grade 3 at Navan on Saturday, the 107. No price on him just yet.
Yeah, and my second one then is Chartreuse in the 217, the Foxrock handicap chase, listed chase in Navan, 2.5 miles. No
And
prices, but wins.
Yeah, and then my final one is ICO in the Grade 1 Henry VIII Novices Chase, 150 on Sandown, 4-1. So they'll be our best bets for the weekend.
Super.
But lads, that's all from us for this week. Make sure to join us on Monday again for the performance rankings, where we go through all the racing over the weekend and slot them all into the different categories: green, red and amber. So lads, that's it from us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
It's Honey stuck on the